What's up, Internet? I'm going to go back into Spirit Animals today and go over how I make my 808s, which are kind of a staple of my non-drop sounds. So in Spirit Animals, I have the project file open here. Specifically, I'm going to be getting into the 808s, which are here, but let's take a listen to these 808s. So you get the idea. I love 808s for transitions in a DJ set, for verses in a song. It's a great way to keep the energy moving, give the audience some bass, and make it danceable and vibey too, which is what I wanted to do here. So there's two parts to the 808. We have the actual bass part, which I made on Serum, which I will get into in a second. You'll have to be listening on headphones or a proper system to hear that. And then also the kick layer, which you can see, I'll get into why I resample my kick layer here in a second. And that kind of gives you the punchy attack of the 808s together. So to get the start of the 808, I like to use analog BD sine because this sine wave has some slight harmonics in it that you can pull out. That'll give some of those like 100 to 200 hertz frequencies, give them some breathing room. So I'm talking about like these right here. And you're going to want those frequencies to come through because if someone's not listening on any system with a sub like capabilities, like anything under 90 hertz or so, they're just not going to hear it. So here with these frequencies here, you can hear it. And that's because of the initial not quite sine wave that is being used. You can see I used an LFO here and had it on envelope mode. And I automated it to the level so that it starts louder and kind of gets a little bit softer. The wavetable position, yeah, I started it in this wavetable. It's a perfect sine wave at the very beginning of the wavetable. And so I had it start there for a cleaner attack. And then while it's holding out its note, it kind of has those resonating overtones later on in the wavetable. And also the coarse pitch, which I believe you have to, if I was going to do this, oh yeah, you have to Alt-Shift-Click to have it so that it's not bipolar, so it's just going one way. I also, the actual 808 sound, like that dom, where there's an attack and then it kind of levels off, I achieve that with the envelope here, which just takes some fine-tuning to your tempo and what style you want. Basically, I try and get the longest 808 to just finish its decay before the next one. So you have to adjust the decay time. Cool. Too boomy. So I'm 4.8. No sustain all the way down, and attack at 0, hold at 0, and then I don't think the release really matters quite as much. I don't think I had any effects on here. Oh, I did it with a filter too, just in case there's any artifacts coming through on the top end, get rid of those. So there is your 808 patch, which at this point I have saved into a default. I actually have this whole thing saved into a rec, so blah, blah, blah. Okay, next up is the kick, which provides the initial thud which there is a small one on the actual 808 itself, but I like to layer it with a kick. And so I made it in a drum rack at first. I like this little side kick. It has a nice transient here at the beginning, and really we're just looking for a good transient. I don't think I did any processing on my kicks processor, which I'll get to in another episode. I do put it through a drum bus. Okay, fair enough. Because what I did was resampled it because I like the control I have here. Yeah, so what I did was I shortened by a considerable amount all that extra shit, and you're just getting that nice punchy attack of the kick. And if you really want your 808 and your kick to mesh together, I recommend, let me see if I did, oh, I sure hope I did it now. Just listening and making sure that these two sounds mesh together. It does look like I side chained so I did a small side chain also from the 808 to the 808 kick. I used duck, but you could use a Ableton sidechain compressor. And as you can see, I took out just that very, very, very initial 808 transient and that's where I'm going to fit this little kick sample. On the 808 also, just to give you an idea of what I do for processing, just make sure it's in mono. I threw Fab Pro L on there just to give it a little extra volume, and you get some nice little bit of distortion. And then the main meat of the processing is happening on Saturn, which I use for, I love this saturator, oh my God, especially for subs. But I'm literally just boosting all of these, like, let's see, 86 to 450. And these are like those first harmonics you're getting, which without this, it just sounds a little more dull. I mean, you can barely hear it without that. Sometimes I will cut out, I didn't have to do any EQing really, which is nice. Well, I do cut out everything above 250. And then that with the sidechain. I think on the actual 808 patch, run it through another utility. Oh yeah, here's where I did some EQing. So these two EQs right here are some harmonics I wanted to draw out just to give it that little bit of extra like bounce to it in this range here. And then I cut out some mud here at 81. So it's kind of, you got to use your ear and see what works for you. And then clip off the top of the attack, and then compress it all, well, limit it all together. And the end result is a really nice punchy 808. You can see as I'm doing this, those top end harmonics coming through the mix. Which if you see most 808s, they'll have that those like 200 hertz or so popping through. And that's really what's going to separate your 808 from the amateurs. All in all, that's how I make 808s. Use your ears every time I make it. It's a little different. Sometimes it needs more EQ work. Sometimes it needs more compression work. Sometimes the distortion's not right. I swear every track, it's like I have to do something a little different. There's not like a plug and play. Kind of have to use your ears, but here it is. And if you want my 808 patch, I will be having it available for you in the comments. Thank you so much.